Gentlemen, it is great to be here on the set of Brahman E. This is an interesting show. SHISHIR, you are director, and SANJIV, you are the lead actor.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And, you know, I've read, we never know what to expect from Quantum. And everything that I've read about the show, I still don't know
the
what
unexpected is what you should expect.
Well, okay, then I'm on par with everybody else. So I know that it's sort of based on, it's kind of like a stand-up comedy act. Mm-hmm. It's in a comedy club.
Mm-hmm. Well, the way I like to look at it is that it is the life story, I feel like, or the life story of this character, Brahman I, told through the medium of stand-up comedy. So it's sort of, I think the stand-up comedy is used as a way to, what do I want to say, engage the audience in a story that perhaps if it was told as a straight-up monologue, that necessarily they might have a hard time getting into.
Now, typically I'll interview an actor or a director, but seldom do I interview them at the same time.
What?
Because they can always talk about the other, you know, when the other one's not there.
Which is what you want. You want some dirt.
Right.
Like one of
This
those
is a
muckrakers.
real treat. So
Real
have you
muckraker.
worked together before?
We have. You want to take that one?
Yes, unfortunately we have.
Live to tell
a
about
number
it.
of times. We've actually worked. I met him when he was actually doing a play of mine up in
Back in
New York,
2000.
in the year
Yeah,
2000.
15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And he was in this particular play of mine called "I'm Caring for the Beast," and I happened to be shooting a TV thing up in Maine. So one weekend when we had off, I got to come down, and that's when we met. And,
That was the first time, yeah.
And it was the first time we got to actually work together, even though I was not the director of that piece. I wrote it. I got to sort of go in there and do the writer thing of being, here, don't listen to the director.
It was extremely helpful. I mean, extremely helpful.
We had a good time, and that's how we first met. And when I met him, it was kind of a dark and serious play. So I thought he's a dark and serious person. But
In what ways does this script resonate with each of you?
Oh, I mean, in a huge way, on many, many different levels. I mean, in terms of the cultural level, it certainly does. It resonates massively. I think so many of the characters, particularly the auntie character that Brahman talks about, is super resonant, I think, for anyone who's South Asian. I think kind of for anybody in any culture, that relative that just has a lot of personality, a lot of opinion, but also is incredible, has wisdom, has things that one can learn from. I feel like that's something that every family has.
perhaps you start thinking of them as just a sort of a comic character coming through, but then at the end you realize there's the fool, the wise fool has come through. And not just that, but I think what's been great is like hearing so much of the stuff that we as South Asians living in this country, of a generation where, we are Americans and we are other, at the same time, joke about, talk about. Some of it is very painful, but you use humor to sort of get around it and play with it. And so Aditi has written this lovely play that brings all of those things into one place and in the form of the stand-up routine, which is something that America really recognizes. Kind of like musical theater. Oh, that's a very American form, and sitcom form. But this is very much that solo performance. And earlier you'd asked, what is it like to sort of direct somebody who's one person who's doing many, many characters? And a lot of it for me is just to sit there and see what's the funny. Where's the funny? Now, of course, there are certain places where the Aditi says in the directions at the beginning, say, this is a stand-up routine until it isn't, right? And so in those moments when it isn't, we have to find what those nuances and what those moments are, and where the weight is. But immediately we want to fly away from them and go back to the funny. Yeah.
We're exploring history, mythology, gender, and high school. That's a loaded bill.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And gender is a huge thing, right, in this particular piece because of the issues of talking about an intersex person, which is really interesting. So
Now, what is the term?
intersex.
And
Otherwise known as hermaphrodite.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh?
Yeah.
I think the more politically correct term is intersex, or the term that people who are intersex prefer is
Exactly.
Okay.
What I've always said about this experience, or what I've said, people are like, well, how do you feel about going into, performing this technically sort of, one person show, stand-up comedy thing, and I'm not a stand-up comic, in any kind of trained sense or professional sense in that way, is that it's intimidating, but at the same time, it's incredibly exhilarating. There's something about being up there, trying to, as Shishir said, like, yes, we're afraid of the high wire, But the high wire is like an insane adrenaline high when you're up there and you're like, I am working it. And you're just like, okay, I can, and it gives you, it feeds you. And I think so much of this play is about being able to find yourself in a place of acceptance, in a place of being present with yourself, in the moment, and letting yourself just be out there as exposed and vulnerable as you can, and that there's strength in that.
Well, if it's any consolation, I hear the audience will be able to drink beer during this.
Yeah, they will be.
And even have little snacks, some Indian snacks.
Yes, some Indian snacks too.
Right, again, because the setting is very much like a stand-up comedy club.
Yeah.
Very casual. So, like most quantum shows do, they really envelop you in the environment.
So the immersive experience. It's a site-specific piece. I mean, we found a site in a neighborhood, and then it's turned it into this beautiful little club.
So beautiful.
Temple of Comedy, right?
Temple of Comedy, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we should keep this place named that.
I mean, once you come in here, you're like, people would come back here to have a drink. This could turn into a comedy club.
We are
Maybe
at the
someone
bar.
else might be performing after me.
I'll do my Peter Sellers now that I'm a fan. But we are on set technically.
Yes.
This is the bar of the Temple of Comedy.
Right.
And we're looking out here onto I suppose it'd be the main stage there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So in this environment, sharing very honestly, of this character, what do each of you really want someone to walk away with after having seen this?
The first thing that jumps to mind, I mean, a sense of openness, a sense of acceptance, a feeling of hope, of just, I don't know, of just humanity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think what so much of the show is about the way in which we try to label everybody, and we come into hearing about someone's experience with a certain set of prejudices and ideas, and that we really don't know what that is, and what that journey is, and what someone's story of suffering and pain might be, and also their story of joy. And I would hope that people would be able to watch this and be like, damn, wow, holy.
Holy what?
Holy, that was, how that was presented to me just really kind of took my breath away. That's what I'm going to say.
Now, does that align with your intentions for this piece?
From my intentions, I think I would just like people to walk away a little more inebriated. Which I think they will be doing. So
alcohol sales for you.
We will have completely. I think it is. I think ultimately the piece has been written about not labeling people, right? And the fact is that we label so that we can. It's a form of protection that we do, right? We come in so everything about us is like, where's danger, where's safety. And so if we're able to label people and put them in these boxes, then we know where we want to go, where we don't want to go. But those labels are often based upon things that are ridiculous. They're misconceived. They're opinions that based on ignorance and often bigotry and fear. So all of those things. So what we're hoping that with this comedic sort of approach to all of this is that you end up walking away going, this is just a road I have never taken, and it's making me think a little bit differently about who I've met on this road, and perhaps that I will leave this road a little more able to sort of accept the difference between me and this other person, and yet find something in this other person's experience that is your own.
I wouldn't say applaud and poison anybody and stab anybody. No lead pipe, Tanya Harding.
But that actor
What's up,
did die.
Tanya?
He died. Well, I do think there are many characters in this play, and you just have to apply them with a lot of alcohol before the rehearsal starts.
That's the secret, huh?
That's the secret, and all of those come out.
Did you just have an aha moment?
Mm-hmm. I tried to quell it. I didn't want to.
I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt it.
'Cause we're really close here. That could make people a little squirmy and try to make them laugh. How do you handle that?
I cry a lot. I drink a lot.
And
I pray a lot.
And I have to give them a massage every night after.
I'm on the internet a lot watching. No, anyway. Yeah. No.
Is Is Dave kind of like your Paul Schaefer?
He's like he's
Yeah.
kind of like Paul Schaefer, but even more, but much better looking.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You hear that, Dave?
Ooh.
Getting a little deep
I'm having,
here.
yeah, I know, I'm having